people that my best cook fell down. David picked up his satchel, fumbled through it, and came out with a rattling plastic jar. Hutch took it, cracked the seal, and poured 4 or 5 of the small pink lozenges into his hand, then passed one to Leelee. She popped it in her mouth like it was hard candy. The 2,5-dimethioxy-4N-propylthiophenolethylamine was a serotonin receptor agonist that broke down into, among other things, a 2,5-desmethoxy derivative that was a monoamine oxidase A inhibitor. The euphoric effects would start to tighten Leelee's joints and lift her mood in the next half hour. The hallucinations wouldn't kick in for an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and then they'd last her through the night. She rattled the lozenge across the back of her teeth with her tongue, grinning at him. David felt the first stirrings of an erection and looked away from her. "You do good work, little man," Hutch said, taking out his hand terminal. The small chime meant the transfer was done. David's secret account had a little more money in it. Not that he was in this for the money. Now, this ante thing. What's it going to do to your schedule? "I've still got the lab at school," David said. "I can sign up for more time there. Seniors get preference, so it won't be too hard. It's just—" "Yeah, no," Hutch said. "Better we play safe. You tell me how much time you need to make the next batch. That's how much time you can take." "I'm thinking a couple weeks at least," David said. "Take them. They're yours," Hutch said, waving his scarred hand. "We're in this for the long haul, you and me. No reason to get greedy now." "Yeah." The thin man stood up. David was never sure how old Hutch really was. Older than him and Leelee, and younger than David's parents. That gulf of years seemed to fill infinite possibilities. Hutch shrugged on his dust-red overcoat and pulled his brown knit toque out of a pocket, flapped it once like he was whipping the air, and pulled it down over white blonde hair. Leelee stood up with him, but Hutch put a hand on her bare shoulder, turning the girl toward David. "You see my girl here back to the land of the living, eh, little man? I got a thing to do." "All right," David said. Leelee pulled her scarf off the lantern, and the dirty little room went brighter. Hutch gave a mocking 3-finger salute, then unsealed the door and left. The rule was that Hutch left first, and then 10 minutes later David could go. He didn't know exactly where Hutch went, and if Leelee was here with him. He didn't care. She leaned against him, smelling like verbena and girl. She was a year older than him, and he could have rested his chin on the top of her head. "You doing all right?" he asked. "Am," she said, her voice slushy and soft. "It's starting to come on." "That's good." He gathered her a little closer. She rested her head against his chest, and they waited quietly for the precious minutes to pass. 7 communities, called the neighborhoods, scattered through the northern reach of the Aurori Sinus, made up Londres Nova. The city, such as it was, had burrowed deep into the flesh of Mars, using the soil as insulation and radiation shielding, with only 10 domes pressing out to the surface. 40,000 people lived and worked there, carving new life into the unforgiving stone of humanity's second home. Tube stations made a simple web topology that determined the social forms and structures. Utterpole was the only station with connections to every other neighborhood, and so it became the de facto downtown. Sultan was under the biggest agricultural dome, and had a surface monorail to the observatory at Londres Nova, and so the upper university and technical clinics were concentrated there. The lower university was in Breach Candy, where David and his family lived. Nariman and Martineztown had been manufacturing and energy production sites in the first wave of colonization, and the displacement that came with new technologies meant both neighborhoods were struggling to reinvent and repurpose themselves. Innis Deep and Innis Shallows